Welcome to Dig Deep, the mining podcast. In this podcast, we go deep into mining news, hot topics, and live interviews with mining professionals and leading figures in the mining industry. Introducing your host, Rob Tyson, founder and director of Mining International and Mining International Executive, a leading global mining recruitment and headhunting agency.
Hi, mining community. Welcome back to another episode of the Dig Deep, the mining podcast. And we have a returning guest who appeared back in May last year, which was 2020. And that was episode 237. Andrew Groves, the managing director and CEO of Cheshire Resources, an ASX-listed West African-focused gold mining company with projects located in Senegal. And they have discovered two high-grade gold projects at its flagship Diamba Sud project in eastern Senegal. Andrew's a geologist by trade and has become a high-achieving mining and finance executive with an established track record of achieving results, generating profits and identifying opportunities, managing risk and developing teams during his career. He's going to give us an update on Cheshire Resources and what they've done since we last spoke. So let's welcome Andrew back to the podcast. How you doing, Andrew?
Thanks, Rob. Thanks for having me on again.
No, and I appreciate your time as well. So for those that didn't listen to the previous episode, obviously I encourage you to go and listen to that episode, which was back in May 2022, to obviously see where, obviously after listening to this, see how far they travelled in the last 9 months. So for those that didn't listen, just wondering if you can just give us a quick overview, snapshot of yourself, and tell us a little bit about Cheshire Resources.
Okay, thank you, Rob. Look, I'm a geologist, as you said. Spent a lot of time in the field, and I also had the opportunity to spend sort of 14 years at Macquarie Bank doing mining finance. So we spent a lot of time in Africa, funding mine developments throughout Africa and the world, but particularly Africa. So Diamba Sud, the French words are a bit challenging at times, and they get worse as they get more anomalies. So where we've come in the last 9 months, it's been a pretty rapid progression for the company over the last 3 years anyway. We made a discovery in mid-2020 on our Diamba Sud project. Since then and to date now, we've defined mineralisation over 4 deposits. That's area A and D were the original ones. Karakara came in late last year, and Buguda, which is a bit further to the south, also came in late last year. We've got active ongoing exploration. I think we've defined another 3 mineralised prospects, somewhat defined by drilling, that will continue our. We believe that sort of resource growth is going to continue and incrementally for a very long period of time, because it's quite a prospective area. We've also, in those sort of last 9 months, we've delivered updated a scoping study over the resources, and resources currently stand at 860,000 ounces over those 4 prospects. We delivered an updated scoping study that clearly shows a low risk, high value future gold mine is possible on this site. Currently has 7 or 8 years of mine life at 100,000 ounces a year, low cost at mid-$800 an ounce. And we're taking that further, and we're progressing our feasibility studies and environmental studies to get ourselves in a position potentially at the end of this year to go and apply for mining licenses, and in 2024 potentially start building a project on the site.
Just moving on before we speak a little bit more about the project. You were recently at the 1-to-1 and in Diamba in Cape Town. Just wonder what your thoughts were on the event and how you found it, how you found both events, obviously representing Cheshire.
Look, we haven't been for a while because of COVID and other things, but it was one of the bigger attended Indabas and 1-to-1 that I've been to. Our couple of days at 1-to-1 were book solid back-to-back meetings, about 22 meetings in those couple of days, and then those meetings continued in and around Diamba. So, the vibe was very positive, particularly for gold exploration and development stories in Africa, which is, it's not always been the case in the last few years, but it was a very positive vibe for that. Lots of investors, lots of corporates looking for new opportunities around the place because, fundamentally, if we look at Africa as our region, there's probably only three development projects coming online, and we're one of those. And we think, we're probably on a smaller scale of those ones, we're de-risking it as a high-value project.
The scoping study updated, which was delivered in December 2022, showed a future profitability mine development at Diamba Sud. Just wondering if you can just sort of summarise the results of that study.
Sure, no problems. I'm happy to summarise those results. So, look, first of all, I'd say it's a snapshot because we are growing the resource base. So we'll the aim is, as we go through our feasibility studies, to grow it. We're going to add more ounces. We currently got 7 to 8 years mine life. We'd like to extend that to 10 years, and to do that, we need to add a few 100,000 more ounces. And we believe we've got the prospectivity to do that. But fundamentally, where it is on December, 7 to 8 years mine life, 100,000 ounces a year at all-in cost of mid-800. It's a pretty standard open pit CIL gold processing project. High recoveries, sort of mid-90s recoveries. There's no issues with the metallurgy that we can see. Strip ratio in the pits is 4.2 to 1 over mine life, and importantly, the first couple of years we're mining the Area D pit, which has got near surface oxide mineralisation, and the strip ratio is less than 2. So that really drives the first couple of years of very low costs, to sort of low 600s, and it goes to rapid capital recovery. So we're estimating about $150 million capital to develop the project, and we should get that back at 1,800 within 15 months of production. NPV at 1,800 is $269 million US, IRR 55%, with that rapid payback. So it ticks all the boxes in terms of being able to fund the project and develop the project, because you get all your money back really quickly, and then still got a reasonable mine life to continue producing really good cash. So look, we are underway on the feasibility and licensing. So we've done most of our field surveys for the environmental, so there's no material issues arising from that. We don't have to move people, luckily, and we're close to infrastructure and water. And feasibility study, going to have that sort of later half or later quarter of this year. But it's all sort of stacking up to being, I think, a really good executable project, and not too big for a company our size.
I understand, obviously, you're in Senegal at the moment. Can you let us know what is happening and what your future plans are, activities over obviously coming months?
Sure. I spent last week on site. We were meant to do our little broadcast there, but internet's not so good. So I'm back in Dakar at the moment with a bunch of meetings and things. But the team on site we just finished what we call our Phase 9 drill program, which was really aimed at looking at expanding the resources particularly around Area D and Karakara, and drilling some of the new exploration prospects. So we drilled probably 4 exploration prospects, Gamba Nordish in the northeast of our tenement. South of Area D, there's some indication near surface mineralisation. Kasasoko, which is an artisanal pit that we put 2 drill holes into late last year and got some really good rock chips. The drill holes weren't as good, but we put in another 7 or 9 holes down there. Western Splay, Mungundi, so the challenges get pronouncing all the anomalies. So it was about 5,000 metres all up, probably 2,000 diamond and 3,000 RC, and those results are getting compilated for release should be this week, actually. So there should be some pretty positive news coming out of out of that, just to continue to demonstrate that at least D and Garracara are not closed off, and there's more mineralisation to add at those two, and then potentially we're defining mineralisation over new prospect areas as well.
Your presentation states that you're on the pathway to 1 million plus ounces. Just wonder if you can just explain to us how you're going to achieve that goal.
Yeah, so look, I think, well, essentially it's through drilling. This phase 9 drill program, I think, will clearly demonstrate that we're bringing more anomalies on that will convert to resources with additional drilling. We made a discovery, it's not even 2-3 years ago, and there's lots of anomalies, a lot of geochem anomalies, and quite a few geophysics anomalies on the tenement. And what we've done is we've converted a lot of these into resources with some drilling. So we started with A and D, gone to Garracara, Baguda, the Western Splay area that I talked to that has drilling in there. There's all great intercepts. So we think incrementally we'll keep growing the resource base in and around a couple of our deposits and with new deposits. We do sit in a very prospective belt of rocks, Senegal Mali Shear Zone rocks, near the Mali border, and over the border is Lulu, Gonkotto, Fekola. So rock types and similar structural settings that host tier 1 deposits. And our side of the belt getting quite a bit of attention from us, and then because of our success, a lot of refocus by a few neighbours, particularly importantly Barrick.
With the sale of Iron Gold Bulk Gold project, about 60 k's away, south of Diamba Sud, to manage him, do you think it has generated renewed interest in the region?
Yeah, look, I think it has. I think in Diamba we got lots of incoming from other corporates looking at what's happening in this area. IM Gold, who had the project, or still have the project, the sale isn't completed yet, but IM Gold, who had the project, had it for a long time and didn't do a lot of exploration on it. But as I said, in the last 3 years, we've shown that area has got the right rock types, right alteration systems, and it's very similar settings to tier 1 deposits. So it is covered by laterite, and we sort of did some auger drilling below the laterite, which showed the geochemical signature. Barrick, who have the tenements between us and the Mali border, did the same. They've been actively exploring around us for similar 3 years now. They're coming up with lots and lots of anomalies, lots of drill hits. Last quarter, which they came out with in KBT, or I think it was, it's 30 to 40 metres at 3 grams per tonne from near surface. They have. What we're seeing in our area is lots of smaller 1 to 300,000-400,000 ounce deposits. I think clearly they've got a lot of those as well, but they are looking for the big mineralised system, because the Barrick needs a 5 million ounce deposit really. But it's sitting in this area. There's other little prospects around that have been developed and proven in the last few years. So we're thinking, within a 20-kilometre radius, it's a 3 to 5 million ounce gold camp. And what we're doing with Chester is trying, with the first mover advantage, if we get to put the mill on in the centre of this, and people don't find their right scale of deposits, it'll come to us over time. So,
would you outline the value proposition for new and existing shareholders to Cheshire?
Yeah, well, it is a good value proposition here. There's a big gap now between our market capitalisation, which is US dollars circa $40 million, and what the scoping study says is $269 million US dollars. But on top of that, there's really strong leverage to exploration success. As every series of ounces we add to the mine plan will add a significant amount of value, because they're low cost ounces near surface, and you get a fair bit of leverage to execution on de-risking the project, licensing, building, and future cash flows, which are probably about 3 years away. So.
And concluding, just wonder what the outlook is for the sort of remainder of the year, and any final remarks that you want to give our audience.
I think now look at another busy year for Chester. Look, we've got this last lot of drill results coming out soon next week, where we'll have more rounds of drilling focused on exploration and adding ounces. We're going through the studies of PFS, DFS out late this year, licensing out late out this year. So getting ourselves in a position and with the government to ask to get a mining license granted. So that should happen, all things being equal, next year. So really, it's positioning the company to a point where we can execute and deliver a future gold mine in the area. And look, it should be a pretty exciting year. Gold price has got some support. Africa's, Senegal's a great spot to be working in Africa. It's safe. It's good investment jurisdiction, and we believe we're on a pretty strong journey. And hopefully the shareholders can come on board and benefit as well. Yeah,
certainly. Andrew, really appreciate your time. Thank you for obviously sharing your story and the update on Cheshire Resources. If our audience wants to reach out to you, what social media platforms are you on, and how can they go about contacting you if they've got any questions?
Okay, well, look, if they want to reach out, my email address is on the back of all the presentations, and you can come through the website, or there is a LinkedIn, Cheshire LinkedIn. I'm a bit of a Luddite, but that's all right. And thanks, Rob, for the opportunity to come on and tell a story again.
Yeah, and like I said, appreciate your update as well. And no doubt you can come on later this year or beginning part of next year, and obviously give us a further update. So for those that are listening, appreciate your continued support. Please share this episode to obviously people within the mining industry, but also people outside of the mining industry, because we need to educate those that are non-mining people. So like always, appreciate your continued support. And until next time, happy mining.
Thank you for listening. Remember to reach out to Rob via the show notes, and be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Until next time, happy mining, helping each other to improve the mining industry.